To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, Sutra, the Lord of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go forth. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to attain, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, to you I prostrate. With the supreme science, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the teacher having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities of a vast ocean, to you the one gone to thusness I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime, pure reality, to that Dharma which pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the sublime community intending virtue I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, Subdue the four faults and be delivered from the ocean of suffering, of aging, sickness, and death.
Sanje Jono, Chanju Bando, Dane Jazu, Nagin Jeso Jebe, Sonam Je, and Dola Benje Sanje Sanje Jono, Chanju Bando, Dane Jazu, Nagin Jeso Jebe, Sonam Je, Dola Benje Sanje Sanje Jono, Chanju Bando, Dane Jazu, Nagin Jeso Jebe, Dola Benje Sanje Sanje Jono, Chanju Bando, Dane Jazu, Nagin Jeso Jebe, Sonam Dola Benje Sanje Show.
I go for refuge and tell my mind to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge and tell my mind to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge and tell enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I created by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Lana Meba Lada Menon to Masanje Jumdendeso, the Geveza Namachumeza was a very good Sonam Gitaran, pages of Senam de Medo Jeba Jury Motom, Tona Medema Meba, Terember, Sherosigi Medema Donna Zeva Sherosigi Medema Donna Zeva Meba, Sinjatam Gigi, Toma, Chajus and Pabe Kansana Jib, and they were 2021 Tebe. She a part of me, Boba Sonja, Sonamata, Yanima Bridget, Chomage. Kusuma Mevan, the Bataga Mago, Suna, and Yavama, Sumevata, Martin, Tungana, number 2, water. Come on, Damien, Jason, Amanda, Divana, Shelaja, Bayon, don't Sivalea to a Jola, give a Yon, Devana Jumba, Sanjay Jim. Yishela Neva, Yangana Development, Yanavan Yataman, Sujatam Genesive, Sama Shubate, Delania, Sanjim, the Gucci, when you the Yanavan Namaso, the patient of Tomaki, Yozo Yozo, Yozo, Chavanya, the bottom of them, which when you want to get on to you. Kevana just was and get you, but you were Jim Lenny, was to return to one and never to Rancho Motobe, Sanjo, Medimba mentioned the Vada de Batema, you watch about whatever you then they are never you watch too much. Charge of you was on a BGC and years of John Jibena, good one Jibena Zoju Wachambo. Kangia to the years on the water, vision of the Chancellor. So we're still in that minority school's standpoint. Page number 307, refuting that standpoint. The extensive refutations and summary that concludes the refutations. The extensive refutations, refuting analogy for the intrinsic existence of consciousness and the absence of external reality. Refuting analogy for intrinsic existence of consciousness and the absence of external realities. So that's the minority school thinks that consciousness is, intrinsically exists or inherently exists or truly exists. And the external reality, form, sound, smell, taste, textures do not exist externally. They are all, mature from the propensities which resides within the foundation consciousness. Refuting the arising of consciousness devoid of external reality through the propensities the potency of the propensity, and how such refutation is not inconsistent with meditation on the fullness. So we are refuting the consciousness which is intrinsically existing. We are also refuting that the mind school, asserting the absence of external reality. So refuting the everything that rise and mature from the potency of the propensities, and then when we refute that, consciousness truly existing or the absence of external reality, and then same questions, if the mind-only school asks the same questions, and how about your meditations on the fullness? So meditating on unattractive substance is particularly, applying the antidote for the attachment. This is what we call skeleton meditation. So if the mind-only school raise these kind of questions to the Prasangic school, and your skeleton meditations on the fullness, meditation on the fullness, it also the wrong perceptions, as the mind-only school says, I consciousness sees the form externally is the wrong perceptions. So when we refute that, and mind-only school says your meditation on the fullness, meditation on this fullness is also same. There is no external reality, but just purely mentally projecting. And then Prasangic school says this is not exactly the same. So your say the mind-only school believes that the form that you see in outside of the consciousness is 100% is wrong. There is no such form or color or the shape that is independent from the I consciousness. Right? So the meditation of the fullness is, there is a base. First you think about the, how's that? So mentally, collecting the shape of the stick, like the skeleton meditation says, in the first you imagine that in the forehead. So you just pick the skin out, right? And then, peel the skin, right? The peeled skin, and then you see the bone, white bone. And you just imagine this bone, just tiny one. And then you just kind of extend it or expand it. And then the whole head, your skeleton, and the whole body, upper body and lower body. And then surrounding everywhere is just skeletons. And then it continuously expanding and reaches the, to the shore of the ocean. So this kind of meditation is, mind-only school says, this is what you think is meditations, but the meditation, the consciousness, the meditating with that is, there is no object. So every object is you're just projected, your thought is projecting it. So the Prasangic school said, no, it's not 100% projecting. Because yes, there is bone. That meditation is perceiving the bone, the skeleton for yourself, and then expanding to the, towards the oceans. So that may be not 100% true, but this meditation is not a wrong perception. It perceives it's realized the object, There's object to perceive, there's object to realize, there's object to, reveal. So it's not a wrong perception.
And the object in that case is like impermanence and kind of like...
No, it's the skeleton.
Oh, the actual,
yeah.
Okay.
The actual skeleton is there.
Mm-hmm.
Your meditation is just focusing on that existing of the object.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's some exaggerations part that expanding to whole universe, the planet is filled with skeletons. That may be not true, but by that you cannot say this meditation is the wrong perception.
Mm-hmm.
It still perceives something. So if when the farmer got the seed, like 1 pound of the seed, and he can imagine from this seed I can have whole field with good harvest, and then I can have tons and tons of the harvest, yeah, crops. So, but small amount of the seed in the palm, you can imagine that. That is not wrong perception, right? Mm-hmm. So this is how such refutation is not inconsistent with meditation in the fullness. So refuting analogy for the intrinsic existence of the consciousness and the absence of external realities, how now this has 2 parts, refuting the dream analogies and refuting the analogy of seeing the floating air. So refute the dream analogies. This has 3 parts. How the dream analogy does not establish intrinsic existence of the consciousness, how the dream analogy does not establish non-existence of the external reality. So the mindfulness school, their best example to refute external reality is the dream. So dream analogy is not going to establish the consciousness is truly exist. So the mindfulness school thinks the dream is the best example. The dream state of mind is truly exists. The object within the dreams are not exist. Right? So like eye consciousness, nose consciousness are truly exist. Then form, sound, smell, taste, something that exists externally is not true. So in the mind, the Prasangika school says, how the dream analogies does not establish the intrinsic existence of consciousness, how the dream analogies does not establish non-existence of the external realities. Maybe you can understand its dream state is the best example to refute external reality, but how that become the example to constitute the consciousness as truly exist. How the dream analogy established all entities to be false. So how the dream analogy does not establish intrinsic existence of consciousness. So Chandrakirti and the root text says, where is your analogy for this mind with no external reality? if you say like a dream, for example, and then let's examine this. Since such mind does not exist for me even in a dream, since such mind does not exist for me even in a dream, the dream consciousness is, not truly exist as its object, right? Dream consciousness is not truly exist, not true as its object. This analogy for yours has no validity. So that's the root text. Now the commentary. If you, the Cittamatra, assert there is no external reality, but there is mind that exists through its intrinsic characteristic, where is your analogy for this? Something you could cite and say, for example, to this Cittamata's response, so one is sleeping inside a tiny room and due to illusion caused by sleep. So one dreams of an entire herd of mad elephant. Could those elephants be inside that room? They could not. Like this dream, I accept with the certainty, right? Mm-hmm. Accept with certainty that while there is no external object, and intrinsically in the real consciousness does exist. There is no external object, and intrinsic in the real consciousness does exist. So this is the minority school thing, right? To demonstrate that such response is pointless, Chandrakirti says, let's examine. This is to say, analyze this example here. So what is it that need to be analyzed? It is this: just as elephant in the dream have no existence, this mind that dreams of the herd of mad elephant, a mind that supposedly exists by virtue of its intrinsic characteristic, has no existence for us either. So that this, and Prasangika school says, like you think that the herd of the elephant in the small room is non-existence. Similarly, the dream consciousness, which dreaming in a tiny room, the heart of the elephant, is also not truly exist. So this is because it is unborn. The herd of the elephant, the entire herd of the elephants in tiny room is unborn. And if there is no consciousness that exists by virtue of its intrinsic characteristics, then this analogy of yours has no validity, for it would not be established for both parties. Therefore, there can be no consciousness without external reality. So, this is how the Prasangika school pushes, says, like a herd of the elephant in the tiny room is unborn, non-existing, not true. And similar, the dream consciousness, which dreaming, the herd of the elephant in the tiny room is also not truly exist. So the minority school says, maybe the object, is the entire heart of the elephant in the tiny room is non-existing, but the dream consciousness is truly exists. you cannot say the both are non-existent. If both are non-existent, how can you, when you wake up, you remember something? So what makes you remember, what brings the memory of that, the dream, is the consciousness. It is not the entire heart of the elephant in the tiny room. Right? Rabbit horn is not any, conditioning for to remember anything, but thinking about rabbit horn can be conditioning for the memory. So I think that every time the Prasangika school lays out the reasoning to refute the, intrinsic existence of consciousness, for the mind-only school, it's always like, when you are driving in the 10 freeway facing north, and all the Prasangika school reasoning and facing south, to face east, right? When you go to Los Angeles, and the other side of the freeway is going this way. So you said, just bye-bye. So, but yeah, Prasangika school, this is Prasangika school things, Like object is not true, therefore the consciousness, seeing this is kind of consciousness, believing this is true is also not truly exist.
So Cittamatra almost say that because that can't be real, the other thing has to be, hence why it's there.
Yeah.
But Prasangika is basically saying that's not necessarily true. But
so now, yeah. So I think there's a two, it comes to you, when it comes to you, so it is two things. Like the mind-only school, they insist, persistently saying that consciousness is truly exists. The object of the consciousness does not truly exist. Particularly here, the dream consciousness. And then for the mind-only school says, like object, like subject consciousness, both are not truly exist.
So almost like subject, like object. Yeah. You could, okay.
So, like for example, one of them is saying that if someone tells you the story about, how say, someone tells you the story about how fast, how say,
is the culprit. If you say, why cannot mind exist with mistaken object? For example, if the mind misapprehends the rope for the snake, it's a misapprehension. Why would you say mind doesn't truly exist in that case? And you can say the mind is capable of projecting and does project all the time misapprehended objects, and then imagination is maybe a little more extreme than a misapprehended object. But they're projections. The first is a misidentification, where rope is mistaken for a snake. The second is it's more clearly a projection But I don't see why mind cannot exist with a projection. It seems to me mind exists all the time with projections.
Yours exists all the time. Mine's also. Yeah, I think that's, first the mind only school says, the dream consciousness truly exists. The object of the dreams are not truly exist. Now the Prasangic school says, like object is not true, therefore the subject which believing in that object is not true. Now in the ordinary perspective, so we say, if someone says, I have, if someone says that, I have, donkey horn to sell, if, it says this is very, very precious. And if you have donkey horn, it can help you to prevent many obstacles, many illness. So I'm trying to sell it. And then even in ordinary people, it says, no, you are lying. That's not true. You are not true. Your speech is not true. You are not true. Like a donkey horn. In ordinary, this is what we say. If someone says, talk about, I have seen the turtle that run faster than deer. And it says, like, the turtle that run faster than deer is not true. They're, like yourself, yourself is also not true. You are saying this is not true. Your speech is not true. So the ordinary, this is what we say, right? Like the meaning, like this, what called speech, right?
Term.
As not,
Term.
yeah, like the meaning is not true, the term or the speech is also not true. This, in ordinary people, this is, this very, very, very common, right? So this is the Prasangic school. In that perspective, Prasangic school, like a dream object, the dream state of consciousness is also not true, because the dream state of mind is believing that entire heart, the mad elephants in that tiny room, right? So the entire elephant in that tiny room is untrue. Therefore, mind which is believing that the entire heart of mad elephant in tiny room is also not true. Then, then the second I said, second is now they not truly exist, not inherently exist, means, the consciousness and the dream object. And the dream object is, the heart of elephant is unborn, non-exist. So similarly, the consciousness is also not intrinsically arises, not intrinsically, not intrinsically functioning. Because the consciousness is rise from the, memory. Consciousness is manifest from the memory. It's not intrinsically, not intrinsic by itself. So I think that's two levels in the 2 point in the Prasangic school argument. And the one that is the common to even the ordinary perspective, right? And the second is saying, the object which is, not true means objects do not exist by itself. Objects are projected. It's just projected by the, purely from the subject, right? So the subject dream state is also not intrinsic because it's just mature from the memory. It's just mature from the memory. So therefore, like the dream objects is not intrinsically exist in and of itself. Consciousness too, the dream consciousness too, not exist in and of itself.
Well, Prasangika, first of all, won't Prasangika maintain that everything arises interdependently, so nothing truly exists, just empty of nature? That's one point. The second point is, if you take the case of a mirage as opposed to a dream is an outright creation or projection. But a mirage, you actually see it. You see it as clearly as you would see a person. You can't identify it. Dreams is very easy to separately identify. The only way you'll know a mirage is fake is if you follow that mirage and it disappears. So a mirage seems like a somewhat separate category as a dream.
Yeah, who has caught the dream?
Huh?
Who has caught the dream?
Well, the dreamer also doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And the seer, for that matter, doesn't exist. And the apprehender of the mirage does not truly exist except as a fabrication. But I'm trying to, for one thing, draw a distinction with a mirage and a dream. They're somewhat different categories, and conventionally speaking, you wouldn't say. You could say the perceiver doesn't exist, no matter what you say in the Prasangika school. But at least on an ordinary basis, you wouldn't argue that the seer of the mirage doesn't exist by virtue that the mirage doesn't exist on an ordinary basis. And that's true, of course, of the dreamer too. Now, truly exist is a different matter. We're talking about inherent, right? Or am I mistaking inherent for truly? The Cittamatra school is saying only that things exist all the time, but in terms of projection.
I find that there's some kind of, when you see the two parties they're arguing, the minority school, for example, if minority school says the dream state of mind itself is intrinsic and truly exists. Now, object that projected or that appears to the dream state may not be true. So the minority school says, now this is the best example to refute external reality. I consciousness, which is truly exists, born from its own cosmic condition, but the way the eye consciousness perceives the color as external, something out there, that may be not true. So like a dream, this eye consciousness, is truly exists, the object the eye consciousness sees as external is mistaken. So minority school find this is the best example. The dream is the best example. So then this continues the minority school, use this example to say the subject and object dualistic is mistaken. So their main, ultimate truth is the absence of true existing of the dualistic of the object and subject. That's the minority school, the main point, the ultimate truth. So this is the dream example is the best for them to introduce their, fundamental, most significant point of view. And so now in the Prasangika school, from the Prasangika school's perspective, saying that, so they sees the, something truly and not true. And the Prasangika schools, I have two perspectives, which is true or not true. In the common sense, the ordinary, commonly, and logically too. So the common sense, usually if say someone says, oh, you are lying, you are not true, which means the meaning that you are trying to express or trying to, meaning that you are trying to point out is not true. Therefore, you are lying. You are not true. So that's normally in the common sense. In that case, like the dream is not true, therefore, mind that is dreaming about the, entire heart of the mad elephant in tiny room is also not true. Right? The second is logically. So what we understand, something is not truly exists, which means, so usually say, truly exists. What truly exists? The consciousness is truly exists. Color is truly exists. Now, if it truly exists for, it exists by itself, means it's truly exists for the Prasangika school. And it exists in and of itself is also meaning of it truly exists. It exists without depending on any other factors. That also means it truly exists. Now, from that regard, the consciousness never truly exists. Truly exists without depending on other factors. Never truly exists in and of itself. Because why consciousness not truly exists and not exists in and of itself? It is the projections, the maturation from the memory within the mind. The dream mind is mature from that, the memory that's in the mind, or the desire of that mind is projecting it. So therefore the dream comes, the dream consciousness. So now when Prasangika school explained that, and the minority school says, no, I don't see any, there's a refutation to me, because everything you are kind of laying the reasoning to say consciousness not truly exists. For me, it's all your reason is become the reason to consciousness to be truly exist. Because my minority school thinks that from my perspective, the consciousness truly exists is born from cosmic condition. And you're also using the consciousness not truly exists is just mature from the memory. Is again, for me, it is born from the cosmic condition. So there's something, and then question, last we say, are you both, just arguing on the label or name, or you don't really understand both the meaning of the truly exist? So Lama Tsongkapha says, in that field, if you continuously closely look, there are two sides of argument. And then Prasangic school have a hard time for convincing the mind-only school to prove that everything does not truly exist. Because every reason for the Prasangic school not truly exist is the reason for mind-only school to truly exist. So, this is why Lama Tsongkapha says, Chandrakirti, purposely brings the mind-only school, to compare the two school, and then, in that way you can more detail, your understanding and your deeper understanding of the Prasangic school. So you see, you bring the mind-only school, the point of views. So, and then the mind-only school, maybe this is, I don't really mean consciousness truly exists by itself. I don't really mean that. The consciousness truly exists is, consciousness is the product, it's produced from the cosmic condition. That's the only reason for me to say that consciousness truly exists. Anything that is born from the cosmic condition must be truly exist. So because I see the, I see the difference, mental projections, which is no need in the cosmic conditions, right? So for the anger to project 100% negative, anger to project 100% negative. So negativity is that superimposition of the negativities that you characterize, you impose on someone. So that is not truly exist. That is not there. But the projectors, which is continuous projecting, is truly exist. Your your reason to angry with that person, right? The whole projection may not be true, but you have your reason to getting angry to that person has a condition. It can be many. There are many, temporary conditions. The temporary condition. The root is because so much attached to yourself. Therefore, it is the way of defending myself, a way of showing how fixated toward myself, to guarding to myself. So I get angry, I get jealous, like that. So these are all conditional things. So out of that, those superimposition may not be true. So I see the superimposition and one that's superimposing, conditionally superimposing. So this is very clearly I see the difference. So anything that born from the cosmic condition, for me, it is a truly exists. Anything is not there. Anything is not there being produced, which means it not truly exist. So the Prasangic school truly exists. Truly means now, true to what? Truly exists, not truly exists. True for which subject? So then they say, to the consciousness, to the experience. So when you dream, and for you, there is the consciousness, if that the consciousness is true, which means for you, there is the real entire heart of elephant in that small room. So I don't see that the dream, the projections, and the projector, which projector consciousness, I don't see the difference. It is just one nature. This continued projecting, there's a projection that appears to the projectors. So there is no two different subject and object. There is no, there's no dual state of subject and object. You see, the dream state of mind and dream object is not dualistic. They are not different. So when you see the entire heart of mad elephant in tiny room, and the way you see is not true. That's also not true means, where it appears to you. For you, it seems when you're dreaming, the dream object is true to you. Right. So because the dream object and the dream are inseparable. So the one is not true, the other is not true too. So that, and then the intrinsic, that's intrinsic. So intrinsic means if there is the consciousness, for example, eye consciousness, if that is intrinsic, eye consciousness, the whole meaning of eye consciousness is to perceive something, like eye consciousness to perceive form, eye consciousness to perceive form. Consciousness is perceiving form if that is intrinsic. If that is intrinsic. So that perceiving form has to be, inherent in eye sense power or the consciousness itself or the object. So that the perceiving form is not inherent in sense power, because sense power is by itself not performing any things to perceive. Sense power is there to receive the reflection that experienced by the consciousness. And the perceiving form is also not inherent in the consciousness, not done by the consciousness itself. If consciousness can do the perceived color and form directly experience, then why do you need eye sense power? Why do you need the light? Why do you need the space? So the Prasangika school says that means the consciousness, the function, functional perceiving form is not intrinsic. So not intrinsic is not done by one party, one factors. So perceiving the form is not done by the consciousness itself, not done by the sense power itself. And who is doing that? So not done by the sense power, not done by the consciousness itself. And, see, then there's the perceived form, eye consciousness with sense power that perceives the form. So the function of perceiving form is not coming from one factor. So that is the kind of what Prasangika school says, that is meaning not intrinsic, not inherent. So something that is not inherent, not intrinsic, but for you, it is done by, you feel like it's done by one part, one thing. So, the Bali's, the barley sprout arising from barley seed, barley sprout arising from the barley seed is not intrinsic. The word, the language is expressing, the function of the arising of the barley sprout from one factor, is seed. It's not saying barley sprout arising from the water, barley sprout arising from the soil. So it says barley sprout arise from the barley seed. Now, arising of the barley sprout has to be done by one side, which is the seed. And that is not true. So therefore, arising is not truly exist, not inherently exist. So I think it takes very, very long time, maybe weeks and months, to convince the minority school this is what we think, not inherent, not intrinsic. Maybe minority school says, if you continuously for a month to provide me food, then I will listen you. So otherwise, I have no time to. So I just go with my own belief. So I think the very, because the whole Heart Sutras, and there is no form, no sound, no smell, no taste. So which means there's no suffering, there's no extinction of the sufferings. So and to understand, if you, according to the minority school, anything that born from the cause and the condition, and whole Heart Sutras, whole lines are false. So there is I, there is nose, there is no tongue, their form, their smell, taste, all are truly exist. Why Buddha said no, no, no? So maybe you can go protest the Buddha Shakyamuni. The Buddha said no, no. You say yes, yes, yes. So, so I think that minority school just in very superficially, they're trying to get to the point, the very surface. So the Prasangika school, they trying to explain things, they're very subtle natures, more profound. So maybe how many times the Prasangika school explained the why consciousness not truly exists? The minority school seems to be have a problem with hearing. So maybe they need hearing aids for the minority school. The detail, kind of the explanations why things are not truly exist means not inherent, not intrinsic. So that's the consciousness without external. So then the what is not being demonstrated here is that just as elephant in a dream do not exist, just as elephant in dream do not exist, neither does the consciousness. So that's very, minority school says consciousness exists. The elephant, the dream objects do not exist. One must understand that this statement indicates the non-existing of the, intrinsically real consciousness. So what is not being demonstrated here is that just as the elephant in the dream do not exist, neither does consciousness. So it's not demonstrated yet. So one must understand that these statements indicate the non-existing of the intrinsically real consciousness. So, in the Chandrakirti root text, So where is your analogy for this mind with no external reality? If you say, like a dream, for example, and then it says, let's examine this. So in the root text, right? So the Prasangic school, so you haven't really give me any, the reasoning for the, one must understand that this statement indicates the non-existing of the intrinsically real consciousness for dependent natures devoid of external reality, asserted by the Cittamatra is said to be possess intrinsic reality. So Prasangic school is kind of saying that yes, I can sense that you're saying that it's a dream-like. It's like a dream. So I can understand that the object that you're dreaming, maybe that's not true. That we can understand. But the example of the dream is how it is proving the consciousness is intrinsically exists. That I don't understand. Dream can be used to something is not true. But how can dream is also the example that something is true? Dream example is to say that it's like dream, that's not true. So now you say that from the dream is not only saying something not true, it also saying something is truly exist. That we don't understand. That's Prasangic school. So dream always use example to something is unreal, something is not true. But this is not going to prove consciousness truly exists or anything is truly exist. So in the commentary truth, when the So when commenting on the concluding summary, just as there is no cognizable object, understand that there is no cognizing mind either. So the same thing, when you use anything, the example is not true. That the example of not true is not going to prove anything is truly exist. So one finds that following explicit qualifications, know that the cognizing mind that takes on the aspect of the object of knowledge too is unborn by virtue of its own essence. So, but we can, so Prasangic, so I kind of understand when you use the example of the dream, so that anything that is perceived and imagined and seen in the dream is not true. So therefore, the consciousness, the object are not true, not there, not born, not being produced, not exist. So that's still proving that the mind that is seeing something non-existing as existing is also not true. And like object is not born intrinsically, the consciousness which is dreaming about the object is also not intrinsically exist. So that means, not intrinsically functioning, not intrinsically functioning. So furthermore, the both root text and its relevant commentaries contains numerous instances where when the refuting accepts such as this, the object of negations qualified more.
Moreover.
Yeah. Moreover, what Chandrakirti state in the following line about how ignorance gives rise to the volition and how the volition gives rise to the consciousness has to be from the perspective of his own standpoint. So sometimes we say, when refuting accept such as this, object negation and qualified. I think this, seems like not everything is. Sometimes the,
It says Chandrakirti, the view that consciousness has no existence. Is that his understanding of Prasangaka? Is what Prasangaka is saying? That phrase, know that the cognizing mind that takes on the aspects of the objects of knowledge too is unborn by its own virtue. So that's stating the lack of intrinsic existence. And is it saying like without the object of knowledge, the consciousness doesn't exist? Or it arises with that knowledge, that object?
Yeah, it's kind of, in the sense that if you say the dream object, so, dreaming of the heart of the elephant. So you say, oh, dream objects not exist. What do you mean by dream objects not exist? I mean the elephants. There is no elephant. So therefore I say dream objects not exist. Then it says, I don't see any consciousness seeing the elephant is also not there. So like real elephant is not there, like real consciousness seeing elephant is also not there in the dream. And then the second he says, oh, I don't mean the real elephant there. I mean the elephant that dreaming. You're dreaming about elephant. The dream elephant is not true. And then again says, like dream elephant is not true, the dream consciousness dreaming elephant is also not true. Every time mindfulness school says the Prasangika school has the, counter arguments there, always there. Now, additional Prasangika school trying to explain things. Then the mindfulness school says, I don't really understand what you're saying, And then Prasangika school says, come to me every day. So you you can do it, So I'm Home Depot. You can do it. So I have every tools and everything that I have. If you continuously come to me, so you may understand, So I think that's pretty much, true. If you say the dream object is not true, so which dream object? Projection of the elephant is not true, or there is no real elephant. So the real elephant or the projection of the elephant. If you say the real elephant is not there, that was not true, and then the real icon is just not there to see the elephant, right? So then projection of the elephant is not true because this is like a reflection mirror image. A mirror image is no face. So it appears to you as a real face, but it's not. And then says, in that way, the projection of the elephant, the elephant is not true. So then the consciousness that perceiving that projection elephant as the elephant is also not true. So again, Minority School says, I just come back saying the consciousness being produced. Elephant is not produced. A projection of the elephant is not produced. Consciousness, the dream consciousness being produced, it arises, manifests, mature from the propensity within the mind. So finally, Minority School, they thought they can hold on something. That's, And then Prasangika School says, like the both kind of object, the real elephant is not true, like a projection of the elephant is not true. So this elephant in the dream is not exists by itself, right? It is not born by itself. Therefore, the consciousness, the seeing, the projection elephant is not born or not done by the consciousness itself. That consciousness too is like a dream object. It is just, mature. It is just being forced to be in that function. And then what is that force? And then says, that's propensity, memory, right? So, Minority Prasangika School says, so therefore, consciousness perceiving, dream object as elephant is not intrinsic, not done by itself. It is not born intrinsically. So that part, Minority School, take time to digest that. So they need, a lot of salads to digest. So I think this is why the Chandrakirti brought the Minority School point of view in order for, to explain the, in the Prasangika School. So furthermore, the both true text and its relevant commentaries contains numerous instances where when the refuting accept such as this object of negation is qualified. Gaja said. So it's an object of negations. So usually this is, if you, when you try to understand the negation, the refutations, first you have to understand the object of negations. Is how is it, what do you call it? Hypothetically, the qualification of the object that you're negating. If you don't understand, maybe they're the same word, but you don't really understand exactly what you're negating, right? So sometimes sometimes people read the Heart Sutras and Nagarjuna's text, they think, Nagarjuna's and Heart Sutras, they, it keeps saying that there is no real form. no sound, no smell. Maybe it's all mistaken appears to us. So there's no real form, there's no real sound. Right? So because they do not understand the object of negations. So object of negation is qualified. Moreover, the what Chandrakirti stated in the following line about how ignorance gives rise to the volitions and how volition gives rise to the consciousness has to be from perspective of his own standpoint. So the Chandrakirti all, in the will of the will of life in that picture. So there's a circle, the snake, chicken, a pig. So, the snake tails is in the mouth of the pig. In the chicken, the tails are also mouth of the snake. So there's a circle. So there's out of ignorance create the karma, right? So from the karma again, conditioning the ignorance. So ignorance, the will, I think, like emotions produce the ignorance.
Here, so the object of negation is qualified. The object of negation here means the object of negation of Prasangika school is qualified, not Cittamatra school.
So I think there's when the Cittamatra refuting, negating something, so the qualification of the negation element, is when you compare that, what Prasangika school is negating, what Cittamatra school is negating. Cittamatra schools negate only they can negate things that they can understand what is the negational negational element. So which means their understanding, the qualification, negation is only thing external. That's
Right.
So that when the Prasangika school negates something, so they're negating not only the dream is not true, it also saying that dream is not happen by itself. The dream is not happen by itself. Therefore, dream consciousness also not dreaming by itself.
Right. So here, the object of negation is qualified by using the sutras and other Chandrakirti commentary view. So these are Prasangika's point of view is qualified.
There's a keep arguing means the one party is not completely understand the object of qualification of the negation. So the consciousness from the perspective says, why then would the Great One proclaim in the same sutra that the mind was born from delusion and karma? So why then would the Great One proclaim in the same sutra the mind was born from delusion and karma? In the light of this statement, how could any thinking persons attribute to the Chandrakirti the view that consciousness has no existence? So that's it. Now they don't understand what Chandrakirti is negating. So they thought, Chandrakirti is not accepting the consciousness. Chandrakirti is not accepting form, sound, smell, taste. Oh, like Buddha. Maybe they don't have sense power, you know. So, you know, so it's very important to first to understand the negations, negation element. So therefore, with respect to all such instance, right, where party is being drawn between, cognizer and cognized insofar, right? Mm-hmm. As their existence and non-existence is concerned, we should understand these to be from the perspective where what is being negated is qualified. So this is very, very important. Yeah. So, so the Manavani school, when they don't understand literally, in the Heart Sutra, no form, no sound, and then Manavani school go with their own negation element. So they think, oh, Buddha is not going to say there is no form, no sound, no smell. And from the beginning, the Heart Sutras, even the 5 aggregates are not intrinsically exist. So the whole of that line, they could not really digest as literally. And then they bring their own qualification of the negation element. So means is not truly exists. So no form, no sound, no smell is, there's no external form, there external sound, smell, and taste. And then how you interpret that, even the 5 aggregates are absence of intrinsic existence. So that again, this is the consciousness, is not true with respect to their object. So as objects not truly exist, So, that is the only, that is the only meaning. Because the mind school, every consciousness must be truly exist. The why Buddha say even the 5 aggregates are not truly exist. So this is the one of the misinterpretation of the Heart Sutra, and some misinterpretation of Nagarjuna says, oh, Nagarjuna do not accept consciousness. Right. So that reminds me, in New York, so one of my friends says he has a friend, he went to his Holiness teaching, his Holiness was giving teaching on the Heart Sutra. So there's one man, he was so excited when his Holiness explained Heart Sutra. So when he come back from the teaching, there's raining. We were totally soaked, And his friend says, just come in. You're just totally, He said, there's no rain. so he don't accept. He was kind of because there's no rain. There's no rain. So and then you can just hold his hand and put in the fire. So there's no fire. So that kind of, they do not understand the qualification of the negation. Now the opponent might entertain the thought. If no deluded consciousness exists in a dream, it would be impossible to recall the dream experience after waking up. Now the second step, the mind-only school, when the Prasangika school says, the dream is not true, but conscious not true, what's the dream object you're referring that's not true? And if Prasangika school says, I give you two things, the real elephant, or that's just projection of the elephant. And if you choose there's no real elephant, and then there's no real eye consciousness, right? Same thing. If the projections are not true, and like projector also not true, and then continues, the Prasangika school says, finally says, if there is nothing true, and what makes me remember that, recall that? So anything that, something when you awake from the dream, you recall. So the recall of that is conditioned by something that has to be truly exist. So therefore, I'm going to hold on the consciousness. The dream consciousness is truly exists. Because the dream consciousness truly exists, now I can remember that dream. So that's, impossible to recall the dream existence after waking up. This kind of objections arises from an assumptions that if consciousness does not exist by virtue of its own essence, it has no existing at all. This objection is illogical. So if that consciousness does not exist in and of itself, so in what base I can remember that dream? So in the Chandrakirti text, root text says, if you say that the mind must exist because we remember our dream when we wake up, right? The same must be true of the external object. For just you can recall in terms of I am dreaming this, similar recollection of the existing of external object as well. So when you see something with eye consciousness, so later on you remember, I have seen that. So and according to the mind-only school says, because of the consciousness I can remember, not because of the thing. Right? So Prasangika school says, because you have a reason that because of when you remember, I have seen it, subjectively, recall. Therefore, the subject must be truly exist, and objects not truly exist. So when you subjectively remember, you also remember the experiencing of the object. So with object, you remember the subject. What difference it make? Because of the object I remember, or because of I have experienced, therefore I remember. So when you similar object, when you say, I have seen that before, so the object reminds you. Yeah. If you say that intrinsically real, if you say that the intrinsically real dreaming mind must exist, intrinsically real dreaming mind must exist, because we remember our dream when we wake up. The same must be true for the object of that dream. So you remember the object, therefore you remember your experiencing of that object. Such as the elephant being perceived as external, they too would similar exist. Why is this so? So if you say, I remember that, the elephant in the dream, right? So you remember you have seen elephant in the dream. So when the elephant is not true, the seeing elephant is also not true. But still, the both can condition the recall to remember something, right? So why is this so? Because just as you assert that mental consciousness exists because when awakened, you can recall in terms of I dreamed this when I was dreaming. Similar recollections existing of external object, that one has dreamed as well. So you say the object, pointing at object, that one has dreamed as well. In terms of I saw this and that in my dream, thus you can recall, because thus you are compelled to admit either the external object exists as well, or that even consciousness has no existence. So now the question is, minority school, you see that what minority school thinking, they're just trying to ignore on the object, and they all, pointing to the consciousness. Because of the consciousness, I remember. Because of the consciousness, I remember. The object is, so it's not because of the object, it's because of the subject. So, when you think about the object, so although it's not true, object is not true, why the dream object is not true? It's not true as it appears, as it conceived, as it is seen in a dream, right? Dreams objects are not true as it's seen, as it imagined, it is conceived in the dream, right? So, but you cannot say the dream object is non-existence. Dream object, is not true, but it exists. It's dependent arising. Like dream state of mind arises dependently, similarly, dream object is a dependent rising. Right. So, but we are not saying the dream objects are actual object. And dream elephant is not elephant, but dream elephant exists. Like dream consciousness. So like dream consciousness arises from the memory, and dream object also arising from the memory. Like minority school also say, I consciousness arises or mature from the propensity, right? The propensity, potency or the propensity, right?
Potency is like the power of something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The potency of the propensities which resides in the mind basis all, So, from the mind basis all produces the both subject and object, because both are, mature from the consciousness. So therefore, they are continuously refuting external reality. So, like object is arising from the consciousness too is arising from the consciousness. Right. So, the dream object arising from the memory, a dream state of mind also arises from memories. Then why do you pick only dream state of mind, not the object? So why keep saying because the dream state of mind is the condition for me to remember? why can you say that because of that thing that I dream, therefore I remember? Do you have a difficulty speaking? Anything problem with? Yes. You want to do more Arapasana Didi? Yes. So that kind of, you see, they just, they got stuck by their own, misinterpretations. So that thing I dream, now I remember. That thing I dream. Or I dream about that. It's almost the same meaning to us, right? Do you see the different meaning? So the dream is untrue like a reflection of the moon in the water. It's a dependent rising. Yes, it exists. Untrue, but it exists. Mirror image is untrue, but it's dependent rising. Like a dream objects, untrue, but dependent rising. So maybe not true like, the dream elephant as an elephant is non-existence, right? Reflection of the moon in the water as a moon is not true, not real. The question since the recollection of both the experience of the dream and the object in it do exist even from our own standpoint. How does one understand their existence or non-existence? Yeah, if you closely, see how this argument going back and forth, and you clearly see there's a mind in the school has difficulty to hold on something. It says, taken this, do you want to say again, like the color, sound, smell is not truly exist? Or do you want to say color, sound, smells not external exist? If you say color, sound, smell is not truly exist, and then, you have to give up saying the color, sound, smell, taste are all arising from the mind. Anything that is produced from any cosmic condition, for you, it has to be truly exist. Therefore, color, sound, smell are truly exist. Mm-hmm. But, you may not be accepting the externally exist, but it is, exist and truly exist. Mm-hmm. So, in that case, the dream objects also truly exist for you. So, if you want to go to bathroom, you go, and then you have to come back. So you see that this is why Chandrakirti brought this mind on the school to understand, the more kind of, more detail in the Prasangika school point of views. Yeah. The question is, since the collection of both experience of the dream and the object in it do exist even from our own standpoint, how does one understand their existence or non-existence? The reply, the commentary mentioned two aspects of the collection of the remembering, the experience of the dreaming itself and the dreaming experiencing the object of the dream. So in the context of seeing elephant and so on in a dream, just as when one sees the reflections of the face in the mirror, so there's a mirror, the eye consciousness does not experience the face, but it still experiences an object, namely the face reflections. In the same manner, even though there is no actual experience of an object in the sense of seeing a real elephant at the time of the dreaming, there is still an experience in the form of perception of the elephant. So although one might speak of remembering the object, remembering the object. So although one might speak of remembering the object, what one actually remembers is the experience of the perceiving such an object. Remembering is, I have dreamed that means, and what makes you remember? You are experiencing of that kind of dreaming about it. So almost there's no difference dream state and dream object. There's no kind of difference. So differentiating between perceiving and experiencing as having distinct sense may be necessary in some specific contexts, but in numerous contexts, such as present one, there's no need with such distinctions. So Mignon social jevas. So Mignon social jeva means sometimes like when you are directly looking at the actual object, when you're looking at the tree, what you experience, from that, the perspective and what you have seen. So you can differentiate sometimes. So in the meditations, what you experience is what you project. What you project is the experience. Right? So you can, so Mignon social judgments now here, like when you look, if I hold the lemon, right? If you hold the lemon in my hand, and there's a two person, one has never tasted the lemon, one has tasted the lemon. So what you experience in the one who has already tasted the lemon, there's the mouth waterings, right? So one that has no experience of the taste of the lemon and doesn't care. There's no any, So this called mignon, the actual object and experiencing the object. So when you look at the lemon, you remember the experience of the, lemon in the past. So that brings the water. It's not the lemon in front of you is not really coming to your mouth. So the experience and actual object. So in the meditation, there is no two objects. So in the meditation, what you project is what you experience. What you project is experience. Experience and the object, there's nothing. So similar in the dream. So what you experience is your own projection. There is no two kind of object and experience. So every day in our life, when you awake and when you walk and when you see, there's always two. What you see and what you experience is two things. sometimes like, with religious people, when they see some holy places, even like a ruined house of Nalandas, and there's a feeling. So your experience and the real object is two different things. And that someone who's not religious, someone who's no have connection, and when you see the ruined house of the Nalanda, so they don't have any feeling. Just that the house is just destroyed. That is so, which means you just by painting on an object you experience something, and then the real object. So number one, usually most of the ordinary people, the experience is always experience by painting on that object. You always bring the brush, so you don't need anything to buy from Home Depot. You always with you. So if you see a person, you paint it. Oh, that person looks good. And then another person, when he, shape, they say, oh, that person doesn't really look good. So do you paint and you experience? In that case, the object and experience an object is the two different things. Here, so it is not necessary in the dream and the meditations.
I want to ask here, this experience an object, is it always based on past imprints, or can you have, if you have a fresh experience of something, so there have been no prior imprints, or is it always based on past imprints?
Can you say that again?
The experience of an object is usually based on past imprints, I think. But if you can experience something for the first time, like a lemon, then is that based on a past imprint too? Like, our experience is always based on past imprints, is what I'm asking. Or when you have a fresh experience, a new experience of something, how does that work?
Let's say generally every experience is the fresh. And the condition by, previous, recollections or the memory or the habituations that is passed down from many times. As I mentioned, like, looking at the picture of the grandmothers, So when you have, the picture's quality is so poor and always the colors fade away. But when you remember this, my grandmother's, there's some kind of, there's some, how say, it's totally new experience. But when you see, others' grandmother's picture, and then the colors just fade away, so all the papers just almost, ready to, corrode, right? So there's no feeling. So which means there's some kind of is fresh experience, but the condition that is from the habituations. And it's the condition right now in the present day, with this new object. I think everybody has the, even the animals, the dog, they too have these things. When they see someone and they have kind of, they have some kind of sense of closeness. And some sees they kind of always keep distance. It's experience, the present experience always the fresh, but it's conditioned by habituation, the memory, or desire, so that kind of thing. So here they say, Lama Tsongkapha is saying, in this case, the dream, and there's no need to distinct, experiencing object and object as two things. So in generally, there's many times that you can see the real object and experience object is, as a, two distincted. So like a fullness, meditation on the fullness, unattractive substance, in order to reduce the attachment. And that's true. What you experience directly is what you have projected. What you projected is, that's what you're experiencing it. So there is no two distinct object and experience the object. I think that's, object and experience. So therefore, from sometime from the color, and that gives you some certain experience. Sometimes the shape, the design gives you a certain experience. So that's why, many times in the store, they just, deceive you and with different colors, different light, and, project on the product. And when, buyers come to the store, they look at it because of the color, and you like it, When you bring out to the store, you say, "Oh, this is not that good," So again, next day you come and return it. So there's some kind of tricky, the deceptives there, because you are, I think like sometimes you call it as the constituents, the habituations. You train yourself, from the, subconsciously you are trained yourself in certain ways, looking at things with the color, the designs. So that's called, so I think this is also conditioned with the elements in the body. So that's why it was the sentient beings, with 6 constituents of the element. Constituents of the element consciousness, constituents of the water element, constituents of the. So because your mind has printed in it, with the moisture in the body, with heat in the body, with the air in the body. So the all talks at the same time. So certain color, I like that. Certain design, I like that. So in the presence to the Buddha, and there's, you have no constituents of any aggregates. So Buddha do not react from out of habit, out of, certain attitudes. Because Tathagata means he sees things as it is, he reacts as it is. Right? So we do not act, we do not perceive as it is. We act what you are trained, what you are habituated, when what you have been told, what you have been informed. In that way, we see things, we like things, we dislike things. So that's why it is called kamanda. Comes means we are we are built with the condition, the habituations, and the information, the culture, the tradition, so many things. So here, experience, and yeah, this is the what he says, differentiating between perceiving and experiencing as having distinct, senses, may be necessary in some specific context, but in numerous contexts, such as present one, there is no need for such distinctions, because you have created the object as you feel, as you experience, as you want. Right? So that means the object as you experience, you create it. As you want, you create it. As you desire, you create it. Right? So there is no two things.
Because it's true.
Because it's purely projection. Because it's just, totally chosen by the mental itself. So when you look at the trees and the house and people, we are not choosing. So they are there. And what you can choose is, you can choose with this color, with this design, with this behavior, with this look, So hair, nose, you always find some kind of shade to be liking it. So almost like ordinary sentient beings are just programmed, from the informations religiously or traditionally, culturally, something, that maybe it's kind of, from far, long time. There's some information, some programmed, and within that program, you see things, you like things, you dislike things. So that's why the each of our intelligence is IA. Artificial intelligence. Yeah. Any questions? Chanju Zemjo Rinpoche, Maje Bama, Jeju, Gebanyamba, Mebanya, Kone, Pebbles, Tonya Tawa Rinpoche, Maje Bama, Jeju, Gebanyamba, Mebanya, Kone, Pebbles, Pama Sinja, Tamja, Data, Dangerous, Nendo Tamja Tato, Ton, the Chanju Sima, Kama Sushi, Tata Gunja, Mono, Dujuruchi, Carrera, Rogo, Panda, the Wama, Luju, Jerez, Tinzin Jazu, Yeshaba, Sideba, Dangerous.
May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born rise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. May the precious mind realizing emptiness not yet born rise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. Due to all these merits, may all Father and Mother sentient beings have all the happiness, and may all lower realms be empty forever. Wherever there are Bodhisattvas, may all their prayers be accomplished immediately. In the sacred land surrounded by snow mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. O powerful Chin as Yazo, remain in this world until sunset ends.
Thank you. Thank you.